Hey, we're live, pal.
Yeah, we are. Even though it kind of looks like
I don't know
somebody time
why.
traveled and now my parents haven't met.
I don't
But
know why that all of a sudden like Twitch said we were playing Animal Crossing. I'm pretty sure that's not what we're doing.
no, it would make for a very different show.
Completely different. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Simulated, everybody. I'm Mike. That's Pat. That's Pat. There he is. I always forget like it moves over there. Welcome back. We're back, everybody.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's
I mean,
been
it's like
a
2 weeks. But
while. We've got so much to talk about. Holy cow.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say now what wrestlers are from what promotions because all of that could change
Uh huh.
in the next 90 days.
Uh huh.
Considering that once again, the chopping block has been opened up in World Wrestling Entertainment due to budget cuts. I mean, is anyone still buying that anymore?
I don't know how you can do a quarterly results call, say that you had $250 million in profits over the course of 3 months, and then justify releasing 8 people for budgetary reasons. Like there's something else going on here.
It is
Um,
the
yeah.
strangest thing because now it's like budget cuts has become like the new trope of best of luck in your future endeavors,
Uh huh.
which was always like the joke, like to the point where it was on a T-shirt,
Hmm.
uh, in the Back to the Future logo style.
Yes.
I've seen that on Pro Wrestling Tees, and it just it like it blows my mind. Between now here's the thing. It's like, oh well, AEW can just pick them up. That's not necessarily the case. There's, okay, I can see, for instance, the most recent ones. I can see Rockstar Spud going back to Impact Wrestling.
Hmm.
Um, I can see, Morrison and Taya Valkyrie going back to Impact.
Hmm.
Uh,
Jackson Riker going back as Gunner.
Jackson Riker as well. I can see them having like a bit of a homecoming, with their previous promotions. But then again, I would love to see Johnny Elite.
Yes.
That he does that gimmick everywhere he's gone. Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, Johnny Nitro. What? Let's see it. Maybe that's because think about this. Remember that random match that he had with Ricochet a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and like they just blew the roof off. See what happens when you just let him do his thing and not feel like you just have to stick him back into the old mess of what went on with the Miz with the A-lister gimmick thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I know that Taya was pissed. Woo, she went
Oh
on
yeah.
a tear on social media.
Yeah.
Justifiably.
But justifiably, like there is an argument to be made that Taya is one of what the 5 to 10 best female wrestlers in the world.
Currently one of the top 10. I'd put her up there with Serena Deeb. I'd put
Yeah.
her up there with Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker. I know I'm naming a lot of AEW people, but like even Camille from NWA.
Camille. I mean,
Um,
Charlotte's still
Charlotte
at her
still.
near the top of
It
her
say
game.
what you
Becky
will about
Lynch.
like her attitude and everything.
Yeah.
She's a flair. She's still a flair.
Yes.
And there's a reason why they are the best at wrestling. They're also the most infamous for backstage stuff.
Uh
By
huh.
the way, speaking of Charlotte Flair, I am very much looking forward to her versus Becky Lynch tonight on Survivor Series, which I will be doing a live stream watch along again. So you can tune in here. And well, it went over so well with Full Gear. I was so glad that everybody came in. I hope we get some more people to watch along too. I love Survivor Series. Um, it's in my rotation of favorite pay-per-views. For me, it's Rumble
Hmm.
and Mania. It was a while for King of the Ring in the 90s because that was just I love tournaments.
Yeah. Hmm.
um case in point.
This shoulder. There we go.
And Survivor Series was always fun because just the idea of teams forming together, and they all had like their unique like little gimmicks about them, and then just the whole thing kind of dropped for a
Mm-hmm.
while, and now it's in WWE is in that weird position, it's just this weird booking they have of, you know what we should do? We should have a Survivor Series match. Why? Because that pay-per-view is coming up. But
Mm-hmm.
they do the same with Hell in a Cell and TLC. Taking the
Elimination
gimmick
Chamber.
matches that used to be like, we're going to save this for a point in the story of the feud where it reaches its peak and it's the only way that it can be settled.
Mm-hmm.
But also on NXT, the same thing with War Games. Uh, you have to say it like that for William Regal
War
every time.
Games.
War Games. It's ridiculous. It used to be the Thanksgiving tradition, as they
Mm-hmm.
used to say. Like this was like the same thing with a Detroit Lions game for wrestling fans. This was a constant you could always depend on.
Except in the case of the Survivor Series, it was usually worth watching.
Yeah, it was.
That's coming from a I would say diehard Lions fan, but I think I died somewhere in the early aughts.
No offense to our Lions fans out there.
When Barry
However many
retired.
left there are.
Yeah,
but
we're hanging in there.
We've got a good tournament, to good series of matches tonight. This kind of leads into just one thing before we get to the match. I do want to talk about Jonathan Gresham. So he decided, he's not gonna try and stick around with Ring of Honor. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are. Ever since that news of them taking a hiatus after Final Battle, some of which aren't probably going to show up at Final Battle, so we'll see what that card is even like. But Jonathan Gresham announced that he has started his own promotion, Terminus Modern Age Grappling. Their first show is going to be on January 16th next year in Atlanta, Georgia. So he's already got the show booked. He's already got a venue, and Terminus. That sounds. I like you joked before. It's like the end of sports entertainment, but he is all in on pure wrestling, and this feels like when Evolve first came out, and when Ring of Honor was really kind of first being promoted. With the pure wrestling status. What do you think about this?
About Gresham's announcement?
Yeah.
It's it'll be interesting. I mean, we have seen, over the course of the last 2 years that there is room for something different in the world of independent wrestling. I mean, AEW really could never be considered independent. They had billions of dollars of backing.
They never would be.
But they have, kind of opened the floodgates for, there is a market for people who wrestle like Darby Allin, people who wrestle like Jungle Boy. And then, I mean, I think we've seen that probably most notably with GCW. Has emerged as like the go-to independent promotion. Kind of what PWG was, 5-ish years ago, what Ring of Honor was 15 years ago. I think there is a market if Gresham, and it sounds like he does know what he's doing, but if it sounds like he and whatever business partners he has have a vision for what Terminus is, I think it could be really interesting. Now it could be like any of the, the dozens of other promotions that have tried to pop up, provide an alternative and then fail. But I hope not. Gresham is great in the ring. He's got great presence. I think he could, in the right circumstances, create something special.
I feel like next year we really are going to see a resurgence of independent pro wrestling now that, venues are opening up again. And, with talent like this who are deciding to go into business for themselves, PWG started that way with 5 wrestlers putting together a promotion and then creating literally the stars of today
Yeah.
in that show and putting them, on spotlight.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what could happen. I'm curious as to who is helping him out. I know that Seth Rollins put him over big when the announcement came out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so there is hope for these wrestlers who are being released to, as they're put out in the wild. Like there may not be so many contracted positions available for promotions like New Japan or AEW or even MLW. But I mean, MLW just announced that they're going to Mexico for a show. So that's
Mm-hmm.
there. Again, I keep telling people don't sleep on Major League Wrestling.
No. Well,
They
and you and I were
have,
talking about this after
I
the
love them.
releases. I honestly think, as great as it would be to see him in AEW, I would not be at all surprised to see Shane Strickland now again,
Oh,
the
the
former
comeback
Isaiah
of Shane
Swerve
Strickland
Scott,
would be great. He'd be
show up in
welcomed back with
MLW.
open arms
He's got a history with a lot of those guys going back to their Lucha Underground days, plus just working with them on the independent scene
and a previous champion.
and a previous champion. I would not be surprised at all to see Strickland. And all of Hit Row is available as free agents now.
That's true.
There's nothing. I mean, I'm sure they couldn't use the name Hit Row,
Well,
and they
yeah.
couldn't, use the name, BFAB and Top Dollar and
Yeah,
all
they
that.
probably go back to whatever it was that they were establishing themselves as, but I wouldn't think they would be, I don't think that it would be it would go past them to be like, let's still at least use this group dynamic that we
Yeah,
have to gain more bookings and just
yeah,
bring it, with our own spin on it.
right.
It's what a lot of WWE or NXT people end up usually doing if they haven't already had a pre-established
Mm-hmm.
fan base in them.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm counting down the days of when Kyle O'Reilly decides he's had enough of this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know what he has his career intentions to be. I'm wondering if he's looking on the other side and seeing what Cole and Fish are doing and wondering if it's a greener pastures thing or if it's just kind of like, let me wait the contract out and then pull a Cole and just show up.
Uh-huh.
Because first of all, I find it funny. I was watching watching Bobby Fish do his promo, and they jokingly had said like he was about to be like that, and that's
Yeah.
undisputed. And they were like, no, you can't say that. For me, it's like, okay, does Bobby Fish know that like NXT and like in character, does Bobby Fish know that NXT was even a thing and was just like he's just picking up work somewhere else for him? Like it's just he
Right.
follows the road. Like, oh yeah, of course, I'm going where Cole's going, like because we're in the same guard.
We're the undisputed.
Yeah,
Are they? Yeah. Is this a Flip Gordon concussion
right.
situation where he still thinks he's
He's
trying
gone
to get
back several
hired?
years to when he was on Being the Elite.
Yeah.
That was such a great spot. I saw. I think it was at the pay-per-view battle royal he was in, where Alex Zane came back, and I'm not sure who the tag team was, but to him they were the Young Bucks, and he went up to them and was
Yeah.
like, "Guys, stop fighting, you're brothers."
Yeah. I remember that spot, but I'm blanking on who it was as well.
It was fantastic. But let's go to the former Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling champion, Jonathan Gresham. And who is he facing off against tonight?
He is up against Athrun Amada, who previously wrestled as Xavier Faraday. Primarily a Midwestern guy, but he he showed up in GCW. Did a lot of work for Camp Leapfrog this year, which is another really interesting indie
I love that name.
promotion that hasn't come up much. A little more kind of family friendly indie wrestling. But he also,
the sound of the match is coming through, right?
yeah, I can hear
Okay,
it.
cool. Just wanted to make sure. I
Yep.
love Gresham's gear. Is always has been something when he comes out in like full Cthulhu octopus mask,
Uh-huh.
just an eldritch beast of a wrestler.
Yes. He's won
The
the
man
psychological battle
got
before the match has
jacked
even
up
started.
too. Like he built up so much muscle, like his shoulders are up to his ears. But yeah, he brought back the Pure Wrestling Championship. Became the first winner of that belt in years after it had been retired
Mhm.
by Nigel McGuinness.
Yes. Yeah, it was merged with the world title for
Right.
several years. But then, yeah, in August of last year, Ring of Honor had a tournament and came down to Gresham and Tracy Williams in the final. And Gresham got the win and held it for several months.
Yeah, the current holder is Josh Woods, and it was
Yes.
I watched that match on pay-per-view. Fantastic, fantastic match. Pure Wrestling, the way that Ring of Honor does it, I always liked the establishment, very very clear establishment of rules. You're only
Mm-hmm.
allowed 3 rope breaks in a match. Then pinfall or submission cannot be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Every match has to start with the code of honor handshake and end with it as well. There's I believe it's a 20 count for their
It is a
for
20 count for pure
yeah.
matches. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's another rule like they actually like pay more attention to striking. Um, very very strict on uh, the open closed fist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no closed fist punches to the face in a pure match. Only open-handed slaps or chops. Punches to other body parts, save for low blows, are permitted.
Yeah.
Wrestlers subjected to a 20 count, and it's fun because you can use those rules pretty well. And I've seen it done where I think it was CB purposefully got his opponent to do all 3 rope breaks in a
Mm-hmm.
row
Yep.
so that he couldn't use them later on in the match, and it was only like 2 minutes in. Gresham showing off here his octopus skills.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna look to put him away with that octopus stretch hold. He can take to the air. He's got a pretty mean shooting star press. But yeah, what we've seen out of him in the first 5 minutes of this match is what we can really expect out of Gresham. It's going to be a lot of elaborate pinning combinations, a lot of what 20 years ago would have been called chokes.
Yeah.
That's very much his style. He's speaking of innovative pinning combinations,
He
rolling
also
through
does.
there.
You could say he takes a lot from the British wrestling style as well.
Absolutely.
A lot of
Absolutely.
catch as catch can.
Amada, coming back with one of his own, but Gresham just kind of, I don't want to say he's outclassing him here, but he's, there's a reason that Gresham was number 20 on the PWI 500 and Amada was 493. Like, Amada's good. Amada's on the come up, but he's, Gresham is one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Absolutely. I one of the first things in my mind that I was like, oh, I would love to see him in AEW, and he was like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing, and then turned it around and was like, I'm gonna start my own promotion.
Ooh,
That was a very close near fall.
very close count for Amada.
What can we know more about Amada?
I'll be honest. There's not a ton of info out there. He only had 7 listed matches on Pro Fight DB, but just some sort of fun stuff that I was able to pull. He and his tag team partner Joshua Wavra, they've got a team called Oreo Speedwagon. Camp Leapfrog awarded them their Campers of the Year award, which they then defended in a 4-way tag match against Ron Voyage and Trajan Horn, Eel O'Neill and Miles Millennium, and Pancakes and the Crusher. Successfully, they did win that. And then last Halloween, at the Camp Leapfrog show, Things That Go Bump in the Night, Oreo Speedwagon beat Devantes and Jet Jagori in a Trick or Treat Smell My Feet tag match.
You know, sometimes you have to truly test yourselves in matches
Mm-hmm.
that go beyond, the physical, mental,
Mm-hmm.
and dare I say spiritual limitations that a Hell in a Cell, or even I would be fearing for my life in a trick or treat match.
Agreed.
I
I
love that combination pin right there, because not only did
Yeah.
is it like a rollover, cross-legged over into a bridge.
Yeah,
That's like the unique stuff that you see from him.
absolutely.
He's been going to the well though with that Pele kick.
Yep, and it's. I was going to say it's going to catch up to him, but Gresham rolled very quickly into that modified victory roll. It was Amada off
And
the ropes.
Gresham 1/4 of the foundation from Ring of Honor.
Mhm.
It's the fate of all these Ring of Honor wrestlers. You know, at least they said,
Ooh,
"Oh, there's Tajiri
sort of
used to do a variation of that as well."
like an octopus tarantula
Yeah.
combination almost.
um,
Something with 8 legs.
the thing, the thing with the Ring of Honor contracts is, at least now, like, they were kind enough to at least say, "Hey, technically now you're all just going to be on a paid by show basis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to leave, you can." That, is something that
By God, Stunner.
that was amazing. Daniel Bryan had recently said, like, if you can give a 90-day release where you can't sign for 90 days, then wrestlers should be able to give a 90-day notice.
Yes, agreed. Oh, back into that octopus hold.
There
Yep,
it is.
that's enough.
That's it. And that's why they call him the octopus, among many other reasons.
Among many other things.
But
There's
that
also a
in
scary ass mask
particular,
that he wears. But
as Jonathan Gresham moves on in our tournament.
yeah,
Sorry, Amada. Better luck next time.
there's no Don't Die Miles Cinderella story for Ather and Amada this year.
Speaking of supporting wrestlers like Don't Die Miles, now more than ever, I say this all the time and I hate that I have to say this all the time because so many wrestlers are being released. Support them, any way you can. Pro Wrestling Tees is usually the best way to do that, and there is just, I mean, to get fired in general sucks, but to get fired before the holidays, like, come on.
Or in the case of a couple people from a couple weeks ago, to get fired right before your wedding.
Yeah.
Also sucks.
What the hell?
It really, like, royally sucks. So I found a list of
do better, WWE.
Yeah.
Do better.
I found a list of Be a Star. I found a list of all 83 releases from WWE this year.
Is it 83 this year, or
It's 83 this year? This is 2021.
Oh, God,
that does include 3 referees and Tom Phillips, but like going back to the first cuts when Lars Sullivan and Steve Cutler got released at the beginning of the year.
Wow.
Steve Cutler now tearing it up in Impact as
Cutler's
Steve Macklin.
it. Steve Macklin, yes.
Who saw that coming?
I mean, maybe WWE, if they kind of like gave him a chance.
Yeah.
I hate this philosophy of like, okay, we're building you up to train you to do, like, to work our television style. Our boss isn't going to pay attention, but he's going to give you a crappy gimmick. And if you don't do good on the first day, you're out of here. Like, that's the way I've been seeing the way it goes down.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But like, I'm looking at this list. It's like, if setting aside, Gresham could just using this list put together one of the greatest rosters in wrestling history.
Yeah, that's the thing. An entire roster essentially has been dropped over the past year.
But I mean, now, John Morrison, Isaiah Scott, Drake Maverick, Jackson Riker, we've talked about. Shane Thorne, who will most likely go back to being Shane Haste, is, excellent. Harry Smith, Oni Lorcan. Biff Busick is now available for
Yes.
independent bookings again. Taya Valkyrie, Ember Moon, Killer Cross and Scarlet Bordeaux, Mia Yim and Keith Lee. Just it's just insane looking at this.
How
Jake
do you let go of
Atlas.
Keith Lee? How do you let go of Keith Lee?
How do
Is
you
it
let
just
Bray
because he had a
Wyatt
belly,
go?
Vince? Is that really what it is?
Yeah.
Jerk.
Ric
Let's watch
Flair
some
is
wrestling.
available.
I'm gonna get too mad.
Yeah. It's
I'm gonna
the
get
Bollywood
hot,
Boys.
Pat. I'm getting hot.
Buddy Murphy, Braun Strowman, Samurai Del Sol, who looked
At
really
least
good
showed up.
on
At least showed up
AEW.
to work on AEW. Well, let's talk about the Ninja Assassin, Janai Kai.
Yes, indeed. DC based, bounced around pretty much every, notable indie this past year. GCW, JCW, Hybrid, Camp Leapfrog. She did win the CFU Shoot to Thrill tournament a few months ago. Had a time limit draw with Yoya, her on again, off again tag team partner. Has beat Travis Huckabee, beat Jordan Blade. Also black belt in Taekwondo. So this will not be a pushover for Jey Uso here.
Not at all. Jey Uso, the Usos had a nice resurgence with their storyline with right to the triangle hold. Holy cow. I thought that was gonna be a quick win.
Yeah, I was gonna say pulling no punches here from from Janai Kai.
I feel like the Usos have kind of fizzled down a little bit lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not it doesn't seem like the talk around them has been as much as previously, but man, Kai is whipping this one's butt.
Yeah. For a while, I mean, the Usos were not just, kind of established. They've long been established as like the tag team in WWE, right? Over the last decade or
between
so.
Them and New Day.
Yeah.
Pretty much that.
Yeah.
And I'd
then
say Street Profits as well.
Yes. Although I don't know that either of those teams has ever been treated as seriously as the Usos have.
No, probably not.
But that's a whole different discussion about how WWE uses people of color. But they've got a match tonight at Survivor Series against RK Bro that should feel like a big deal.
Right.
Like, especially like since the start of the Bloodline story, like the Usos, not just as a tag team, but also as individual personalities, really almost for the first time in their career.
Yeah, like you actually got to know all about like Jimmy and Jay's principles.
Yeah. But that match against, first ballot Hall of Famer Randy Orton and, one of the best pure wrestlers in the world, Matt Riddle, could not mean less.
No. Again, it was one of those like throwaway matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that AJ Styles and Matt Riddle happened on a nice springboard, backflip, back mule kick. Oh, what a combo. I feel like Excalibur trying to say the entire name of the move. But like the fact that like these matches of people who you should hype up just get tossed out there and then they're nothing. Like the meaning is gone. Mm-hmm. It's a crime to these wrestlers.
Yeah. And it goes back to what you said earlier about how it's like, it's time for Survivor Series, so let's and they have
the convenience booking.
The convenience booking and the fact that they have decided in recent years that this is our big Raw versus SmackDown show.
Right.
Despite the fact that they just had the draft. So there is no brand loyalty among these wrestlers. It's just a matter of, it's November. It's time for the Survivor Series.
Like what all of a sudden makes them go, I'm Team Blue now, just because, you happen to be on that brand.
Right, exactly. A month ago, you were Team Red, but
there's no such thing because they all jump on to different shows anyway.
The Usos were on Raw this week.
Yeah. I feel like the whole, like, the team... I love this submission.
Ooh.
I don't even know what it is, but
it's almost like a kneeling sharpshooter.
it looked like it started as a figure 4
Mm-hmm.
and then it turned into a sharpshooter. Almost kind of
Crossface
like
chicken wing.
oh crud, now I can't remember his name, but he's teaming with 2.0.
Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, Daniel Garcia does. Those palm strikes and kicks.
I mean, that's what a black belt in Taekwondo gets you. And then that cross arm breaker. Jey Uso struggling to get out of it. Uso, I think, maybe came into this overlooking Kai.
Oh, yeah.
This is, say what you will about the prestige of it, but Jey Uso won the Andre Battle Royal at WrestleMania this year. Like he is legit, but he is also legit getting his butt kicked here by Janai Kai.
That deserves a Segway award. that transition may have been better than any wrestling combo I've ever seen so far.
It would have worked better if he was in there with Layla Hirsch, but I'll take what I can get.
Now, Janai Kai and Layla Hirsch, that's a match that I would pay money to see.
Absolutely. I would, to paraphrase Danhausen, I would pay significant amounts of human money to see that match.
I don't understand this whole thing of Danhausen is not of this world. He looks very human to me.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know why people would say otherwise.
Yeah, he's very, very clearly a human person.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Very evil.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Thrust kick. Oh, there's that big frog splash from Uso. That may have been his only chance. Yep.
And there you go.
There it is. Just
Never
like that.
Doubt the splash.
Nope.
It has worked before and has worked again. Janai Kai, a fantastic showing, but ultimately not enough. Man, what a fantastic display of striking ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Janai Kai, she got herself some bookings out of that.
Absolutely.
Hopefully somebody's watching.
And for anybody who is checking out this show on the replays or is watching live, thank you for watching in general. We always admire our fans. And if you're watching live, don't forget tonight at 8, I'm going to do the best I can to get on at 8. I'll be a little preoccupied with real life stuff. But once the pay-per-view starts, I'll be going live and we will watch it together and have some fun because I enjoyed hanging out with everybody last time. So yeah. It was funny that last time they were asking, like, do you only do this for AEW pay-per-views? I was like, I was doing this just because I had nothing else to do tonight. But if you guys want to make this a thing, let's make this a thing. I don't mind.
Make it a thing.
But speaking of our next thing, see, I'm not too bad with segues.
Yeah, that's not bad at
all. We've got our next match. If you would so please be kind to talk about our participants.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna see another female. It's Jamie Senegal, who I will admit I'm not totally confident on their pronouns, so I will be referring to Jamie Senegal as they throughout the match. They are sort of an East Coast standard, based primarily out of Pennsylvania and Delaware. But took on, the likes of like Alley Cat, Sue Young, Ace Austin, some big names on the indie scene. This was their second highest placing on the 500. They actually got up to 409 last year, but dropped back down to 461 this year. Lists, Ashley Massaro, Melina, Jeff Hardy, and Edge as sort of influences on their in-ring persona. And then they're in there against Hiromu Takahashi from New Japan, who, a member of LIJ, who, as opposed to a lot of the wrestlers that we're going to see, where especially the indies, where Pro Fight lists 7 or 8 matches for him for the year, actually competed in 70 matches during the pandemic shortened evaluation period. So Takahashi definitely keeping busy, including winning last year's Best of the Super Juniors tournament.
That was I followed that one, and Takahashi is he's insane. Like just from attire to running down to the ring, just to just the entire vibe. It's there's a real bit of a cult following behind him in New Japan. I remember his return several years ago before I think leading up to the January 4th Wrestle Kingdom show, and the crowd went crazy when the time bomb graphic went off.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, "Oh my god, he's back!" Ah! I didn't realize like that he had such a big following over there. But yeah, big in the Super Junior scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he won the junior heavyweight title at Wrestle Kingdom from Ishimori, but he pretty much had to vacate it immediately because he tore a pec. But then that was coming on the heels of him having won the best of the Super Juniors. But he's back up to 100%, at least in Avatar in the game. So we'll see what he can do here against Senegal.
Jamie, by the way, goes by she, her.
She, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. That's research I should have done ahead of time.
On social media just because everyone was kind of like just asking.
Yeah.
So she was very it's in a world where basically gender is completely fluid nowadays.
Yeah.
There's really like even the term intergender wrestling kind of has no meaning anymore.
Pretty much, yeah.
So she's I love the non-binary punk rock wrestler.
Yes.
Who has a lot more I would say more higher than PG-13 names that she likes to go by, and I'll let you Google them yourself if you'd like to find those out. But I will say this: she is much like the song goes. She is a punk rocker.
Yes, I mean, of those nicknames, I'm comfortable saying punk rock queen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good solid PG-13 nickname.
But man, she kicks some ass, because look at that kick right there.
And I mean, she was in the NWA when they did that the Empower Women's Invitational.
Yep.
She participated in that. Did well for herself. Definitely the underdog here. Obviously against.
I think he's going for the time bomb now twice. We got a 2.9 on the last one. Still a near fall.
Still not enough.
Jamie Senegal, she is just the pickup power bomb. That's got to be it. Oh,
speaking of people sitting out the rest of their contracts, Kevin Steen in AEW. Anybody?
I mean, someone tweeted it recently. Oh, big Canadian destroyer by Senegal. I can't remember who tweeted it recently. Oh, what a big DVD.
They're just throwing bombs right now.
Save some for your careers, guys.
Yeah. This is also just round one. Like you're gonna have
one.
I thought Senegal was going for mounted punches there, but turns it into
she reversed it right into like a knee bar.
Yeah. There's a Pele kick.
A wonderful counter. I've never actually seen that. Nice leg drop.
Leg drop. Shades of X-Pac there
who
with it.
Recently tweeted to Kevin Steen saying it was Omega. Omega that said I stole this from him, and it was a match from PWG years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think during
another destroyer from Senegal.
I think it was during the Mount Rushmore storyline too. So, and he even said on TV, very tongue-in-cheek, whether it's for 3 more months or 3 more years that I'm here in WWE. And I'm like, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say, and it's very easy for Tony Khan to say, I can sign anybody. That doesn't mean you should,
right.
And I think he knows that too. because then he will end up right where Vince was. Oh, big sunset flip into a power bomb. Is that going to be enough? And it is.
It is.
What
sunset bomb from
fantastic.
Senegal.
I would want to say upset win, but like I don't want to discredit Jamie Senegal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable calling it that just based on the seeding. You know, she's 461 to Takahashi's 52, but based on what we saw throughout that match, you know, she earned that. That was
Absolutely.
not an out of nowhere pinfall. She controlled a good probably 65% of that match. Takahashi, I don't know if it's, you know, lingering effects of the pec injury or what,
I
but
think one too many times trying to go for
the time bomb,
just straight up going for the ending instead of what you're supposed to do, which is wear and tear until they can't take it anymore. You just can't rely on just strong bombs every now and then.
Nope.
But now we've got a former Impact Wrestling champion, former X Division champion, tag team champion. He's actually won, I'm pretty sure, every singles title that in his division that he can win in TNA and then Impact.
Eric I believe
Young,
that's right. He was also the global champion, or not, whatever they called that.
The Grand Championship.
Grand Championship, that's what it was.
But yeah, we've got Eric Young versus Dan Maloney.
Yes.
Now, I don't know anything about Dan.
Dan is a Brit. He's from Birmingham, England.
I like him already.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the Birmingham, the Super Beast is his nickname.
I like him even more now.
He actually did an enhancement match in NXT UK a few months ago. But yeah, he primarily works in like Progress and Rev Pro, like, you know, the British indie scene. He challenged, we saw Cara Noir a few weeks ago, the Progress Unified champion. He had a really good match with Cara Noir, but came up a little short. Almost won Rev Pro's Southside title, came up a little short.
UK wrestling will also see a resurgence in their independent scene. I have a feeling, because I feel like NXT UK is more than likely quietly going to be phased out.
Agreed.
I mean,
that's an easy chunk of the budget to justify cutting.
That I can justify as a legit budget cut. When an expansion doesn't work and you're not getting any return on it, as a business move, yes. But to be like record profits, bye everybody.
Yeah.
You can't show one hand and then take away from the other in front of the people you're showing the hand to.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
If you're gonna do sleight of hand, you have to misdirect somehow. Yeah. You can't just reach into the guy's pocket and pull out his wallet.
So Eric Young, currently the leader of Violent by Design in Impact Wrestling, which also has W. Morrissey. With the talk about reformed career, man.
Yeah,
he's got all the stuff that Kevin Nash had in him in the 90s when he was at like that peak Diesel. But just it's all him, and good on the former Big Cass to take this new direction. And again, it's one of those things where it's like you watch the guys who used to be in a promotion, well, not even on a television show where everything is literally spoon fed to them, and be like, well, what happens when we just kind of let them do what they do, but guide them in the right direction instead of just telling them what to do? And you get changes that are really good. Again, watch Impact Wrestling, guys. It's a good show.
Yeah,
there's some good stuff going on.
The joke has long been that Impact, just signs the WWE cast-offs. Which is still, if you watch an episode of Impact, you're going to see like, oh, that used to be Steve Cutler. Now Steve Macklin tearing it up. It's like, oh, they have, the Iconics. They're, the inspiration now. Chelsea Green, Mickey James. But just look at where people like, Cassie and Jessica and Steve Macklin and Chelsea Green and, all of these people, W. Morrissey.
Yeah.
what
Even
they
Matt
have
Cardona,
done.
Heath Miller,
Matt Cardona, king of the independents right
Yeah.
now.
the most hardcore wrestler in the universe.
Yeah, just the difference in, I letting them off the chain, just letting them do their own thing. I mean, we've definitely seen it in AEW with John Moxley, and I mean, Cody's one of the owners of the company, so maybe that's not super
I think
fair
Eddie
comparison.
Kingston is
but
probably the best example of a guy who, really like just was touring all over the place
Mhm.
and then finally giving a place to really show off what he can do.
Yeah,
Impact is doing the same with okay, yeah, you could say Eric Young had a nice run in NXT for what he was doing, but by no means was it as impactful as it was while he was doing his stuff with Team Canada,
right.
and
And the World
eventually what he
Elite
ended up doing coming back
Mhm.
to Impact.
Ooh,
He has
Looks
a fantastic finisher of a wheelbarrow into like a neck breaker that I don't
the
see
young blood
anybody
neck
else
breaker,
do,
yeah.
and that's because I don't think anybody else wants to try and do it, because I
No.
don't think anybody else can do it like Eric Young does.
No, it's and he's sort of a cult hero around here. He is, he's Canadian, but he's been based out of Nashville, since the early days of Impact, then NWA TNA. The pop he got, he worked. I went to a Raw a few years ago, and he worked the main event taping, and just the pop he got for his intro was massive. And then, he's 5'11", 232. Like he's basically Taz sized.
He's a wrestler's wrestler.
And you forget how strong he is, because he was always booked as the, like the X Division style guy in Impact, and he was always booked as, kind of a schmuck in WWE. But that wheelbarrow neck breaker, that he throws a mean elbow drop, like just young. He's so mechanically sound. He's been at it for 21 years. I mean,
you learn a thing or two in that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dan Maloney, though, showing off definitely why he is the big beast.
Yeah, Maloney looking like he a series of standing switches, release overhead German suplex.
He had a
into
nice
the T-bone
pickup power bomb too, spirit bomb style.
Yeah, he's probably looking for the World Star, which is a great name for a finisher.
Tell me he calls that out when he does the finish. World Star.
More standing switches, the back elbow. Really good counter wrestling happening here.
Oh, I love that. A straight jacket German suplex.
But right into the ropes. All right. Good ring awareness from Young to make sure if he was going to get tied up, that's where it happened. Oh, Dominator from Dan Maloney. That might be enough.
He reminds me of a little bit of Mike Awesome.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. He's what I imagine if Dynamite Kid had gone to ECW.
Yes.
He's that kind of, he's got he's got power, but he's not like a powerhouse.
Right.
But oh man, that wheelbarrow
slam is just super effective.
Two,
could it be enough?
No, Maloney kicks out. But yeah, just that kind of, I mean, I guess it's sort of comparable to like Chris Benoit in ECW.
Yeah.
Like just that style of, it's, I mean, that power bomb is a straight up power move, but it's
Eric
a lot
Young
of just
got up and he looked like he was seeing 7 guys.
Yeah.
He didn't know which one.
Double here, 14 Krusties. Looks like Young wanted.
I will always pop for a good Simpsons reference.
I'm seeing double here, 14 Krusties.
Young looked like he wanted a Northern Lights suplex, but Maloney turned it into a DDT.
So everybody will always, go to who is the best British wrestler, and they'll always say Johnny Saint. Johnny Saint laid the foundation for what many associate British wrestling to be.
Yeah.
There are obviously the ones who transitioned over into North America, like British Bulldog. But there are so many amazing wrestlers that come out of the UK.
There it
And that
is.
is enough.
That
Eric
wheelbarrow
Young,
slam,
though,
that
proving why his
edge of
21-year
sanity.
veteran status was more than enough to take down
Yep.
this young man. And Eric Young moves on in our tournaments. But like I was saying, Dan Maloney, bright future ahead of him. I hope to see more of him in the future. But what we've got now, Fred Yehi versus, and I'm going to do my best, Isami Kodaka.
That's how I would have pronounced it as well.
Close
So
enough?
I think that's right.
We're going to go with that? Okay. Tell us a little bit about these two competitors.
Yeah. So Kodaka's nickname is the Deathmatch Samurai, if that tells you anything.
Oh, it tells me plenty.
He is a founding member of Pro Wrestling Basara, which is one of DDT Pro Wrestling's sort of offshoot promotions like Tokyo Joshi Pro and Ganbare. He's based out of Yokohama, which I memory serves as also the birthplace of another legendary Japanese deathmatch wrestler, Masato Tanaka. He was co-holder of the All Asia Tag Team titles for the first part of the evaluation period. They eventually lost him to Purple Haze. He won the Big Japan Junior Heavyweight title. He was the Iron Fist Tag Team champion for a while with Daiki Shimamura. He and Shimamura also won a big tag team tournament for Iron Fist. It was UWA World Trios champions with Shimamura and Minoru Fujita. 404 seems really low for me based on the year that Kodaka had. But I think he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. It's hard to call somebody that's a 19-year pro an up and comer, but he's probably not on a lot of American wrestling fans' radars since he doesn't work for New Japan. Being kind of not quite the ace, but a top guy in Pro Wrestling Basara doesn't quite mean as much stateside as it does to Japanese fans. But he's excellent. This should be a fun match. Yehi is he's another guy. Seems like he's been around forever. Only a 9-year pro, but he's one of those indie mainstay guys that you can always count on to have a good match. Works primarily for AAW. Had a good match with Mance Warner for that title back in May. Worked a little bit in Ring of Honor. Had a good tag match at Final Battle with Wheeler Yuta against Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus. Very much in that kind of technical style. Uses the Koji clutch as a finish. He picked up some wins over the last year over Rocky Romero, who we just saw in AEW, and one of our favorite guys from earlier in the tournament, Timmy Lou Retton. Lost to Fred.
Well, so far it's been a bit of a back and forth with these two.
Very much feeling each other out in the early going here.
Fred, I do remember now seeing a bit in MLW, and as well as in I think in Evolve as well. It's one of those names that kind of comes up with keep an eye on guys like him. Guys like him and who else that I've been seeing recently. Oh God, he was recently signed with AEW.
Tony Nese?
Cody.
Oh,
no, not with Cody. Excuse me. Worked with Matt Sydal. Just had been signed.
Leo Rush.
No.
Well,
yes, but also,
yes. Lee Moriarty.
Yes, Lee Moriarty.
Yeah, there it is.
A lot of guys like him are, getting really good exposure, and they're showing that it's not just like, oh well, they're only getting booked because that they can do some cool stuff. No, there's a reason that people get signed nowadays. No, I don't think there's any more. I feel like there is now, especially on the independent scene and in major promotions like AEW, New Japan, MLW, meritocracy actually matters.
Mhm.
And these guys are proving that, they're a commodity or can become a commodity
Mhm.
for a roster. And I hope that's the future of, I always love when
Yeah.
a deathlock like that would be just slap onto the ring to really emphasize like the pain to push back on it.
Yeah, it's very much, it's honestly, there's 2 giant promotions, 3 if you count New Japan. It's very much reminiscent of the territory days.
Yeah, it's nowhere near like what it used to be, obviously,
No.
because of just capitalism in general.
Right. But you can see like somebody like Fred who, makes a name for himself in AAW, gets himself booked in Ring of Honor, gets himself booked in, Evolve. Like, you're making a name for yourself by being a guy that people want to work with.
Right.
Not just by like doing the coolest flips and stuff, like in, kind of the early days of the indie scene, where guys like the SATs,
right,
they were a good tag team, but mostly they were a spectacle.
and they were
people
pretty much New York based.
Yeah.
So you were only going to see them primarily in the East Coast.
Mhm.
But now they're like the journeyman wrestler has become a bit more of a thing again, because promotions allowing and even encouraging cross promoting.
Yep.
The
forbidden door is open.
It helps everyone.
Yep. A rising
More wrestling
tide
is good for the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Give them the business they deserve.
Yeah. A rising tide lifts all ships. Like,
Exactly.
everybody looks better when you work together.
We will hang, or we shall hang separately, or we shall.
That's
hang
right.
I know I butchered that quote, but it's just like
we all knew what you were getting at.
Yeah. I can throw a little 1776 in there. All right, guys. Wrestling is just as theatrical as Broadway.
It is indeed.
It's the reason why Steamboat and Flair called them Broadway matches.
That's right.
It's 160 minutes, one day after another. Should they have? By no means.
Almost certainly not. Ooh.
Nice package driver there.
2.9. Kadaka looking to... deadlift.
Wrong
German.
Snap German.
Jeez.
I would love to see a German-based wrestler just be like, it's just a suplex.
It's my suplex. It takes me back to the days when Joey Styles would always name like regionally based names.
Right.
After, it's the Japanese whip.
Ay, Dios mío.
Dios mío.
When I was first ring announcing and had a full head of hair, I very much looked like Joey Styles.
Nice.
It's a tiny guy in a big suit. I almost looked like I was the lead singer of Talking Heads. It was so like everybody would always say like, oh look, it's a little mini Joey Styles, and I'm like, hi, okay, that's good. I mean, I didn't mind the comparison.
I was going to say there are worse announcers to be compared.
If it got me bugged, hey, whatever. Ooh,
you were Joey Styles-ish.
Finisher with that one. I feel like that's like a fisherman suplex bomb.
Yeah.
Also, Tree of Woe into kicks. Ow.
Always good stuff. Always painful as hell.
There is so much.
Hook in the neck. Smart pin.
That was close. I thought that was going to be it. I almost forgot to ask who's our referee for this match.
Oh, yeah. This match is being officiated by Ryohei Nakatani from Big Japan. Earlier in the night, we saw Barb Sasaki from Stardom, Brian Zane from Ring of Honor, Takayuki Yagi from Dragon Gate, and Daisuke Kiso from Tokyo Joshi Pro.
We've got some strong style spirit going on in this match for sure. Oh,
yes,
look at this stretch.
Just gonna rip his arm right out of the joint. Fellow members of Sento Minzoku, I apologize.
Sure.
His stable in Basara I have to be backstage watching this and smiling.
Surprise roll up.
That might be enough. We've seen a couple of
There it is.
I was gonna say we've seen a couple of kind of flash pins like that throughout the night.
Fred Yehi. Again, the surprise victory roll for the victory. There's a reason why it's called that.
Yep. Otherwise, it'd just be a roll.
Otherwise, it'd just be a roll. That is our fifth match. So we are actually at our halfway point, which means we are going to be back in 5 minutes. Folks, you are watching Pro Wrestling Simulated's The 500. I don't know why. I said it like Jeff Goldblum for some reason.
Yes. Well, yes.
But I'm Mike, that's Pat, and we will be back in 5. hope you dug that tasty jam.
I was gonna say I'm loving the new music. I like that a lot.
I found that one and I was like, oh, this feels like some nice. This is the song that the DJ would play to take a long break between music on the classic rock stations, most likely. The Freebird break, as I would call it.
Right.
But something you brought up to me over or last night was if we could build our own independent wrestling Hall of Fame, who would we have as a class for this year?
Yeah, because
honestly, I
Game
could take a
Changer
run of the pick from any of the people that we've had on the 500 so far. But I'm interested to be like, who would be at least your like initial gut decision choice?
Yeah. So what brought this up was Game Changer Wrestling announced that in January they are launching an Indie Hall of Fame. Then they're going to announce it on, I can't remember, I think it's their January 22nd show. So one of their January shows, they're going to announce the inaugural class. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun if we went through kind of, you know, the history of the legends of indie wrestling to try and, you know, get ahead of Game Changer and figure out who we would put in that inaugural class.
I already know my first pick.
Go for it. Lay it on me. I've made my list of people to kind of whittle it down to.
Amazing Red.
Amazing Red, also on my list. So
Absolutely,
there we go. Consensus pick.
It's hard to choose for indie though, because is the qualification that they've never been in a major promotion or that they were an influential independent wrestler?
The criteria I'm using is that they were an influential independent wrestler, because my list does include the likes of Bryan Danielson, AJ Styles.
I would also
Paul London,
put them in there as well. Samoa Joe for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, despite his behavior, he I'd say low key.
Loki's on my list as well. Yep. Again, yeah, we're kind of doing this independent.
I would go with SAT. The Spanish announce team, for those who don't, Joel and
Jose
Maximo. Oh man.
I'll lay some of mine out while you're thinking
Dragon.
there. Super Dragon. Yeah,
I would definitely put Super Dragon in there. Chris Hero.
Chris Hero I did not think of, but that's an excellent ad.
I definitely want to put Eddie Kingston for sure. God, I'm trying to Sumi Sakai. Definitely would say her. I'm trying to think in terms of women wrestlers.
That was where I struggled as well. Was
off the top of my head, because so many got signed, and then you forget like there was an independent run,
because a lot of them
got famous.
Women's wrestling is hard to do because a lot of times, like the second you start to make an impact as a female indie wrestler, you get signed.
Yeah.
Like Heidi Lovelace feels like one of those people that was around forever and ever, but she was really only on the indies for like 5 or 6 years before she went to WWE. Mia Yim, kind of the same way.
Even with AJ Lee, when she was
Miss AJ Lee. Yeah, absolutely. So women's was really hard to do. I also tried to include some tag teams. I wanted to throw a little, obviously the Briscoe brothers are kind of no-brainers, depending on if you count Ring of Honor as an indie, which I do. But also like, I don't know if you remember a team called Excellence Inc. from the early 2000s, Donovan Morgan and Michael Modest.
Yes.
They were huge on the indie scene, never got signed. I think Modest did a little work for WCW in their dying
both
days.
Of them in American Championship Entertainment, when Mike Modest was their Diamond Division champion. We had we had a good time with producing promos for that show. I missed there was such a like a gold rush of indie talent in that early 2000s into mid 2000s period.
Yeah, and that's where I pulled a lot of my a lot of my names from, just because I feel like that was kind of like the indie boom. Independent wrestling's been around forever, but I feel like the death of WCW was really what kind of kickstarted. It gave guys like Excellence Inc., the Bad Street Boys, Christian York and Joey Matthews were
Sarah
huge
Del
on
Rey.
WCW.
It's absolutely.
Oh, Sarah Del Rey. Yeah,
Del Rey is
that's an
absolutely in one of the
absolute
top of my
no-brainer. That
I feel like most of my women's division picks are going to be from Chikara because they did such a good job.
yeah,
God, that's so amazing Kong. I would put in there. Gosh, the Briscoes, I feel.
yeah.
You definitely would have to. Whew, I could go. Oh, this is a good rabbit hole.
Because we're not even talking. There's a bunch of guys from the '90s that we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about Mike Rapata, the Colorado Kid.
Oh yeah,
was huge in the '90s. Reckless Youth, Ace Darling.
Reckless Youth, man. Let me tell you, I loved working with. Whenever he was on a show that I was doing, he was so good and focused and like just he had learned. Everybody was learning from him. All the young guys were learning from him. Just watching, like, could do something so simplistic and make it meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of those guys who definitely emphasized of the less is more style. I've seen him, a good friend of mine, Damian Dragon. They wrestled a match once. I don't think they did anything in that match. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, they didn't do any moves. Like, they didn't do anything of like, there was no like big like.
There's no highlight reel moment. Yeah,
they had the crowd eating out of their hand with just the most minimal amount of work. And I'm like, and everybody was always, you think about, well, what's the match you remember the most? And not all the time it's because of the back and forth or the spots. It's just what really caught you that whole time. And guys like Reckless Youth and guys like Judas Young, he was a big part of that as well. There's a lot of East Coast guys that were from my home state that ended up being big indie influencers. But man, yeah, that is such a list that you could go real deep on.
Well, and we haven't even got into a big chunk of that early 2000s. Indie rush was the reemergence of hardcore wrestling. So, do you include Necro Butcher? Do you include Sick Nick Mondo? Do you include Nick Gage?
Absolutely include them. Man, Necro Butcher is a guy who, again, he was like in that Brody Lee tier of the underrated guys who everyone loved working with. And yes, he worked the hardcore deathmatch style, but the guy was a pro.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are people who are like, oh, professional wrestler. Like, there's a reason professional is in the title, because you have to act a certain way in order to maintain the professionalism of continually getting booked and putting on different shows.
Yeah.
And he was up there.
I mean, it's sort of a bit of forgotten history, but Necro Butcher had a hell of a run in Ring of Honor. Like
that crossover feud that
with Combat
Zone and Ring of Honor had was probably the thing that reinvigorated interest in Ring of Honor and in Combat Zone as well. And then spun off. Everybody's like careers just kind of spun off, and it's spread out into different promotions based on that buzz alone. God, what a hot period of wrestling that was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun to watch too.
Yeah. And I think
Danielson had invaded a CZW show, and him and Kingston had a go. Oh man. With the was it the Kings of Pro Wrestling with Hero
and Castagnoli, yeah.
They were at like peak tag team scene right there. Dude, okay, I'm gonna forget about the rest of the tournament if we keep talking about,
because we haven't even talked about Alex Shelley, Austin Aries, Chad Collier, Mike Quackenbush, Paul London, Steve Carino, like all of these guys that were like synonymous with the indie scene in that era.
WCW and post WCW, the independent wrestling scene really saved wrestling
Yeah.
If it wasn't for, in a weird way, like it was a blessing in disguise for those shows to go away so that an emergence of new flavor and new tastes in wrestling can be seen, because you could go out to see a show and it was fairly inexpensive, and you got to see amazing stuff, or you just saw a show that was fun. Here's the thing about wrestling: when it's good, it's great, and when it's bad, it's great because
Yeah.
you can get what you want to get out of a show. Doesn't all have to be like every show you go to has to be a WrestleMania.
Right.
Just
Nor should it, because
enjoy
then that makes WrestleMania less special.
Yeah.
Okay. So just kind of based on where this conversation has gone, because we do still have 5 more matches, how about this for an inaugural class? And if you want to swap people in and out, I'm up for that. But just kind of going down the list of the ones that got the biggest reaction when we were talking: AJ Styles, Amazing Red, the Briscoes,
Yep.
Bryan Danielson, Chris Hero, Christopher Daniels, Low Key, Necro Butcher, Reckless Youth, Sarah Del Rey.
Yeah, that's an amazing class.
And that's leaving out, Samoa Joe and Kong and Super Dragon and Quackenbush and all of these, these great ones. But I feel like those 10 kind of were the.
Yeah, that I would feel like people would go to them first.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about our next match. We've got EC3 versus Tyler Bate, the essential character, versus the King of Mustache Mountain. Big strong boy, Tyler Bate.
That's right. Representing
The
British
first
strong style,
WWE
Mustache Mountain.
UK champion.
Yep. And now the NXT, well, not anymore, actually. He just recently lost the NXT UK Heritage Cup.
Yes.
Which, let me see.
I mean, I don't know if many people were going to be paying attention to that to begin with, but.
Right. Noam Dar has it now. But it had been Bates. And then there's EC3, the controlling his own narrative now in, well, I mean, I say now in Ring of Honor, but who knows? Will he be at Final Battle?
He's definitely going to produce more of those narrative pay-per-views that he's been doing. He recently had the former Braun Strowman on.
Yes.
Now the Titan Adam Scherr, which he has confirmed that's what he's going to be going by. But EC3, oh wow, that was an interesting way to break out of a powerbomb, going right into a pin. But EC3, formerly Derek Bateman, when he was on NXT for a hot minute,
the first time,
coming into his own on TNA Wrestling as Eric Carter III.
Ethan.
He got Ethan Carter III, excuse me. Eric Carter, I believe, is a pop singer.
Yes.
Or that's Aaron Carter. Whoever. I don't know. And, kind of like doing a jacked up Shane McMahon of, the nephew of the boss, I believe was the gimmick that he was going with.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
But EC3 doesn't really stand for anything in terms of like name now. He's just the essential character, as he likes to call himself. He really, really got, I feel, he had the thing with when guys like him got signed to NXT, it was, here they are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like they forget about him.
Yep. They would bubble him up anytime they we have a 5-way ladder match for the North American title. Let's push EC3 a little bit so that he's a valid contender for that match.
Make use of his contract.
Yeah.
And he even showed that, because when he was on WWE television for the main roster, he couldn't have looked more disinterested.
No.
And can you blame him? They didn't use him.
All he was part of the brigade of people that chased R-Truth every week.
Yeah,
trying to win the 24/7
he
title.
was part of the catering crew.
Yes. Yeah.
But he really turned things around for himself, showing up in Ring of Honor with the controlling your narrative. I would say identity less more than the gimmick, because he really believes in it.
Yeah.
And he had a huge health scare. Got hospitalized for, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was very, he was incredibly scared, and it changed his perspective a lot about how he was going to be working in the ring, and these control your narrative pay-per-views that he's been doing. Nice Tiger Driver bomb, almost got him. And now Carter with his own power bomb into a bridge, but he was able to reverse
Fate
it
rolled
again.
through. And
wow. Big strong boy gets our quickest victory of the day.
That might be the quickest victory of the tournament.
That might, in fact, very well be. Holy cow.
It is, actually. The previous fastest was when Karrion Kross squashed Mr. Iguana back in episode 2, and this match just beat that by a full minute.
Tyler Bate setting records.
Wow.
Way to go, Tyler Bate. Apparently he was the one in control of the narrative this time.
So it would appear. You know what that sets up in the next round? Tyler Bate and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. That is going to tear the house down. I'm excited for that.
We've now got, speaking of independent talents that were mainstays, we've got now Eric Cannon.
Yeah.
Tetsuya Endo. Tetsuya Endo. I don't know much about him. I do know about Eric Cannon, as I've watched his work in the past.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me about
Tetsuya?
Endo? I mean, well, we can start with Eric.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the anarchist, his signature move is total anarchy. He actually showed up in AEW. Lost to the aforementioned Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo in a tag match on Dark Elevation. Didn't have a ton of action due to COVID restrictions, but he had a lengthy feud with Devin Monroe this last year. He's based out of Chicago, even though he's from St. Paul, Minnesota. Just a 20-year veteran. One of those guys that's been around on the indies forever, never really given a fair shake on one of the big shows, but hey, maybe 2022 will be different for him. Endo, on the other hand, I'm sorry.
One of the most consistent wrestlers.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. He's been around. He made his, for context, his first appearance on the PWI 500 was in 2004. Like, he has been doing this a very long time at a very high level. Tetsuya Endo, on the other hand, only 10 years a pro. Only 10 years. Is a member of Damnation, which is one of the top stables in DDT Pro. We talked earlier about when we were talking about Asami Kodako, we were talking about Basara, which is one of their spin-off promotions. Endo is on the main unit DDT show. As a member of Damnation. He entered the year as their openweight champion, which he did eventually lose to the legendary Jun Akiyama. Earlier this year, he won the King of DDT tournament, which is sort of like their King of the Ring. He, I believe, is still co-holder of their trios titles. Let me double check that. I have a running list going. No, they just recently.
Batman Pat, folks.
They just recently lost those titles to Danshoku Dino, Yuki Ino, and Yumehito Imanari. But it was him, Soma Takao, and Yuji Hino were the KOD 6-man tag team champions. A title that they won at a show called Daydream Believer, which makes me smile as a Monkeys fan.
DDT has a more of a lighthearted theme to in their pro wrestling.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And we've, when I mentioned, even if you don't know him by name, you have probably seen Danshoku Dino who I mentioned a moment ago, is one of the co-holders of the 6-man titles in DDT. He is the one who probably 10 years ago got really big in like you got to see this shared kind of wrestling GIF community. He's the one who would who would pick an opponent up for a pile driver, pull his tights out, stick his opponent's head in his tights, and then pile drive them with their head in his tights. He frequently teams with I'm now blanking on her name. Give me a second. Yoshihiko, who is a legend in DDT Pro Wrestling. And she is a blow-up doll.
Right.
Who wrestles and has a phenomenal one-loss record.
One of the best.
Yeah. Currently co-holds the KOD 8-man titles with Antonio Honda, Kazuki Hirata, and Toru Owashi. Yoshihiko holds a major title in Japan. DDT also the promotion that gave us the
we're not kidding.
No, this is all legit. DDT is also the promotion that gave us the Iron Man heavy metalweight title that we talked about at length.
I had such a blast going down the YouTube rabbit hole after we were done talking about it, watching those title matches.
Yeah.
Some of the most ridiculous wrestling I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was even
a 24/7 champion.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You just let chaos reign. And that's a title that's been held by, a blow-up doll, 2 different books.
I believe a traffic cone or
a traffic cone. The title
inanimate object.
The title won itself at one point. Several AEW wrestlers traded it on on various YouTube shows. Dr. Britt Baker was the champion and fell asleep reading the Young Bucks autobiography, and then the book fell on her chest, and there was a referee there to count the pin. So Killing the Business became the heavy metalweight champion.
Not only a bestseller, but a champion.
A champion, and then it lost to another book. Who's it was one of the Saki Akai. It lost to her book.
Ooh, very close pin. That was devastating. Nice
Rana from Endo.
I always love when the Hurricane Rana sticks the whole time, and just instead of like a release, it's just full like Frankensteiner pull down. Speaking of Steiner, got a recliner type move.
Yeah,
as they would say in NXT 2.0 for Braun Breaker.
It's that breaker recliner.
Yeah, that almost recliner-like maneuver. I've heard Vic Joseph yell at me many different ways of all the different ways that it is not Rick Steiner.
Yes.
But it's weird is that they reference Scott Steiner more than they do Rick.
When
he's on screen. And I'm like, what did Rick do to you, Vince?
Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind, Vince McMahon wanted to blur Christian's face on TV because he thought he was so ugly. I can imagine that somebody called the dog-faced gremlin would rub Vince the wrong way. And yet Von Wagner's getting a push, and he looks like Phil Hartman's Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer character.
You could land an airplane on that guy's forehead.
Really could.
And Eric Cannon, though, he's one of those, like I say, consistent wrestlers, because every time I've seen him in the ring, people have been like, here's the indie guy. And,
Tower Hacker Bomb from Endo.
There it is.
That's not a move you see a lot anymore, but
it worked.
It worked.
So long, Eric Cannon, even though I'm still going to be a fan. But like I said, every time I've seen him in the ring, he is one of those guys who've just been consistently entertaining and just really always puts on a good match. And that in itself was proof. But it wasn't enough, as Tetsuya Endo is able to move on. But now we've got Kento Miyahara versus Kevin Koo. Again, two guys. There's some a lot more unfamiliar names on this episode than familiar for myself. But knowing that you do the research that you do, Pat, you can let me know exactly what I should know about these guys.
Sure. Yeah. So Kevin Koo is a regular for Major League Wrestling now. Member of a tag team called Violence is Forever with Dominic Guarini, as you can see, which was also sort of a spin-off of Team Filthy. Still uses the Team Filthy logo because I couldn't find a Violence is Forever logo. But yeah, they're affiliated with Filthy Tom Lawler, whose focus has largely shifted to Japan now that he's the strong openweight champion in New Japan.
Tom Lawler surprised me, by the way, as one of these breakout indie guys that, which I he's just a breakout wrestler, transitioning well from MMA over into professional wrestling. But the MLW roster has never failed to impress me.
No.
Tell me more about
Kento Miyahara.
Kento Miyahara, yes,
is the ace of All Japan now. He is
Go Ace.
All Japan is not what it was. This is no longer Kenta Kobashi and Mitsuharu Misawa and Akira Taue and Toshiaki Kawada. Like, All Japan is a distant second behind New Japan right now.
The heroes of Japanese pro wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but Miyahara has been carrying the promotion, basically on his back for the last several years.
Looks like a big back too.
It's a very big back. He's not a huge guy, 6'1", 225 out of Fukuoka. He put on a 4 3/4 star match on the Meltzer scale against Jake Lee back in May. Just a really strong technical wrestler. He was the Triple Crown champion for a very long time, the third longest reign in All Japan history. Teamed with Yuma Aoyagi. They had the All Japan tag titles for a very long time, which I think they have since lost. Shotaro Ashino and Suwama have them now. But yeah, just Miyahara, very kind of reminiscent of kind of the glory days of All Japan. Not as brutal, not quite as strong style as Misawa and Kobashi and Kawada and Taue.
I mean, like, you would feel their strikes just from watching.
Yes, there are chops from those matches that I think are still echoing in space somewhere.
Oh yeah, they've reached Jupiter by now.
Yeah, it's insane. Look up some of those tag matches and singles matches from those four. If you're not familiar with mid to late 90s All Japan.
If you're not nerds like us.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And, it's funny how the promotions have flipped, because at that point, All Japan was on top of the world. Because they were also getting like the top gaijin guys like, Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy had a really lengthy run as the Triple Crown Tag Team Champions.
Nice Busaiku knee.
Everybody that was anybody was going to All Japan back then. Whereas, Mitsuharu Misawa was the ace in New Japan, but it was kind of a race for second because all of the big guns were all in All Japan. Whereas now New Japan has, they've got
has the money.
Takagi, they've got Naito, they've got Okada, they've got all the top Japanese wrestlers, and All Japan has
I'm
kind
waiting
of fallen
for the
off.
coin to drop on an AEW show.
Yeah,
because there's been so much reference to now that Orange Cassidy and Best Friends are part of Chaos, which who saw that coming?
Certainly not me.
Okada absolutely has to be on his way.
Oh yeah, I would not be surprised to see sometime in 2022. Now that he's no longer the champion, Okada and Omega in an AEW ring.
Oh, absolutely. I feel Double or Nothing 2022.
Yeah.
We will see Okada Omega, because Khan will absolutely promote that like a Vegas top prize fight.
Yeah, absolutely. He will open the purse strings for the Rainmaker.
That's going to cost him.
Yeah. Good move from Kevin Koo, but Miyahara had it scouted. Straight jacket suplex.
Too close to
He's
the
on the
ropes.
ropes.
Both went for the forearms. Looks like we
Uh-oh.
may get our Tope Suicida. Excalibur's favorite move to call. Nice combo of strikes.
And going right for the chair. Violence is forever when Kevin Koo's around.
Getting close though. We have a 20 count, so
We do.
wrestlers have to beware.
We are using the Japanese, or as mentioned earlier, the pro wrestling or the pure wrestling 20 count. Eric Young is backstage watching this on a monitor because he will face the winner in round 2, which will be a fun match either way. Either one of these guys matches up really well. Styles make fights. Both these guys work a style that's very compatible with Young's.
Big
Stomp
heavy
in the corner
stomps.
from Miyahara.
Oh man!
Then a big knee drop off the
Nice
top.
knee drop.
Back elbow from Koo. Standing switch into the corner, and he's just going to let him fall.
Been like almost near knockout blows.
Yeah,
but good block from that elbow. That may be enough. Another straitjacket.
It's too close to the ropes.
Oh,
Paul Turner sees it.
You know what? I applaud our referees for keeping a good eye on all of these rope breaks. Ooh, nice up and over.
I don't know if that was like he's setting up for something, or if he was adjusting
Busaiku
another Busaiku
that
knee.
Running knee.
But Koo's up first.
Koo able to find the wherewithal, but it may not be enough. Is that
another straight jacket?
Yeah, he just keeps overextending the drop, it seems, and just putting that reach a little too close to the ropes. But big
kneeling super kick from Koo.
I think he went for a discus elbow in that. Oh, he's down.
Yeah, Koo's just striking the hell out of him.
Oh, you see how tired he is, though. Both men just looking exhausted right now.
Yeah, there's not nearly as much snap on those rope runs.
Double drop.
I think Koo is. I was thinking Koo was utilizing a strategy trying to get Miyahara to wear himself down by making him run more.
He may have gotten a little dazed and confused at that point.
Oh, deadlift German.
Again,
Koo's the first to his feet.
He's not able to, for some reason, it's just the ring awareness has not been all that great. He can't estimate where and how close to the ropes, but nice deep arm drag that was.
Interested to go back and watch a replay from early in the match. I wonder if Miyahara maybe got his bell rung at some point early on, and he's just not usually his ring awareness is much better than this. But I think he may have taken a shot early. Oh, and that brainbuster is not helping.
That's gotta be it.
I think it. Well, Koo apparently doesn't think so.
I don't know what he's trying to prove, but I mean, he's dragging him into the middle of the ring for something to know that at least. Here we go again. Oh,
he's going to collide again. These guys are disoriented. There is something going on mentally with these two.
We're gonna have our doctors take a look at both men before this match is before the end of the night, because I do not want any concussions.
No.
I certainly don't want to promote any type of big tiger driver bomb. Setting up top, but what is he waiting for?
I was really expecting him to diving European uppercut.
Ooh.
But again, doesn't go for the pin.
I'm not sure what he's trying to. Oh, he got that knee though.
It's a Busaiku of his own.
Come on, what are you waiting for? There it is. Release German
from Miyahara,
right in the center of the ring.
Can't capitalize.
Another one. We got our own version of Suplex City going on.
Yeah, I was going to say we should be counting here. Oh, and the knee sends him up and over.
Oh man, the strikes to the head that both of these guys have been taking,
and they're both just standing there catching their breath. They are gassed.
This is brutal to watch. I mean, we had our hardcore match, and look, headbutts,
don't
right to the temple.
Kento, no, bad Kento. You're talking about that the Nick Gage Brett Eisen match from a few weeks ago that went 48.5 minutes of just
and then that's
carnage.
Brutal, but then these guys are just beating the hell out of each other and mostly focusing on the head. Oh, but a lung blower
Ugh.
power bomb. Come on. That's got to be it.
Oh, the DualShock's been
At least
disconnected.
he's not near the ropes.
Still
Wow.
not enough.
You think
Miyahara
a
showing
move
that fighting
literally
spirit.
knocks the wind out of you would be enough.
Another brainbuster.
But look, dragging to the ring.
See, Ku's been paying attention.
2.9. Come on. What are we
Something's
got to
give
guys?
here.
What do we got left to prove? No, it's too close to the ropes.
Miyahara did it again.
Man. All right. Well, at least this is a bit of a strategy, trying to catch his breath, letting him, have the advantage by being in the ring first. But man, he kind of whiffed that last strike, setting him up on the top turnbuckle. Now, what's going here? No.
Ku turned it around on him. Is he going to go for that diving European uppercut again?
Going again for that.
Just a knee strike to the temple.
And now the frog splash across the back. Too much, though. Took him out.
Miyahara's the first one up.
Deadlifted to a German, but again,
right into the ropes.
This has been a real workhorse match between the two of them.
Running knee to the face.
God, if this had been an MMA match, the ref would have stopped it.
Yes.
Too many blows to the head.
And now they're just Miyahara using his own head. This is getting hard to watch. Yeah.
It's getting hard to we certainly don't like unprotected chair shots.
No.
But we also want to make sure, folks, an elbow and a knee to the head is just as bad.
It is. Feel that. Like there's no give there. Roaring elbow, and Miyahara just like, nope, I'm gonna headbutt you right back.
My God.
Holy cow. Dios mio.
Here we go, power bomb.
Into a
lung blower again. This has got to be. Come on.
Too close to the ropes, I think.
Too close.
Rolled him the wrong way.
Big European uppercut standing this time. Drags him to the ring.
Here we go. Is he going for that knee to the back of the head again?
Oh, no, an elbow to the back of the head. Chris Hero style.
Yeah.
In a brainbuster of his own. Look at this. Finally deciding to take, but not going for the pin.
I feel like Miyahara's getting a second wind here.
A second wind won't matter if you can't get the ring awareness to know that don't do a move too close to the ropes.
Yeah. Is he going to actually be able to pull it off this time? Going up top. Nope. Again. And the frog splash from Ku.
Come on, Ku.
I'd give that at least 4 stars.
This has been big
DDT.
It took me a second to think about that. I think he's going for big boot to the back of the head. God. Repeated strikes to the temples.
My God.
He's already dead.
This is even more painful than it looks.
Why? Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Pray for Mojo. Another headbutt and the diving knee.
This has got to be just a mercy victory at some point has to happen.
Snap suplex from
neither
Ku
man giving up.
Back down.
I'm not sure what it is that they're trying to prove or go for that really is going to solidify this is where I need to win. But it has just been devastating. Straight
there is again the shutdown suplex. 2.
And there we go.
There it is. 26-11, by far the longest match of the night.
Wow. Ow.
That was fun to watch, but also not fun to watch.
No, that hurt. But Pat, I've been waiting for this match. I have been waiting for this match for one reason and one reason only, to say that my favorite Mexican wrestler is about to come down to the ring.
Yep.
Psycho
Clown.
You've heard me talk about Psycho Clown, folks. Psycho Clown was legitimately is the reason that I ended up watching AAA. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw. No, it's not this gentleman, obviously.
That's John Wayne Murdoch. We'll talk more about him.
John Wayne Murdoch. We will talk about the Duke of Hardcore. But Psycho Clown was the first true luchador that I had saw on televised Mexican wrestling, and it solidified me as a AAA fan from that moment on. And here he comes. Now you're thinking, oh, okay, so it's just what? It's a guy in clown makeup? Oh no.
No.
It's so much more.
No.
Psycho
For
Clown,
starters, it's a mask.
it's a mask.
It's a lucha mask.
because
Yeah.
He's a luchador still. But it is like, okay, you've seen the scary clown masks in like Spirit Halloween or Party City.
Mhm.
Is that Rick Knox, by the way?
I believe it is, unfortunately.
Knox. Don't do my boy Psycho Clown to bad, okay? But it's got the Gene Simmons tongue just sticking out the entire time. And I was like, oh, you got me, man.
Yeah. Psycho Clown, you saw the graphic when he came down, is a founding member and the sort of de facto leader of Los Psycho Circus with Monster
Circus,
Clown.
The worst Kiss album, but turned out to be the best gimmick for these luchadors.
Absolutely. With Monster Clown, Murder Clown, and their newest unofficial member, I think. I was watching. Actually, I watched last night's AAA show. It's AAA does not have a televised show anywhere in the U.S., so you have to hopefully know somebody
other ways,
who possibly streams it somewhere. So I watched last night's show, and I hadn't watched AAA in a few weeks, but apparently now, long time sort of what Disco Inferno kind of was to the NWO, like a provisional member, but not actually a member. There's a wrestler named Dave the Clown who has modeled himself after Los Psycho Circus, but they never really it kind of embraced him as one of their own. He is now officially a member of Los Psycho Circus.
Dave the Clown, as I am looking at him on Lucha Wiki.
Yeah.
That's also known as Dead Clown.
Yes. Yes.
Which I feel is what is going to formally be his name in the Psycho Circus.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
he looks exactly what he looks like, a dead clown.
Yep. He looks. It's like a cross between one of the killer clowns from outer space and Mac Tonight. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a reference that anyone's gonna get. But
yes, man, that's my territory, brother. Mac Tonight, dude.
Yeah.
You're pulling out the spokesman fail. You want to talk about failed marketing? Let's talk about the Duke of Hardcore.
So John Wayne Murdoch, 18-year vet from right here, Cheap Pop in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He won the IWA Mid-South title. That's where he does most of his work, is IWA Mid-South. He does some work for ICW as well.
And IWA Mid-South is known for its deathmatch scene.
Yes, absolutely. That's the promotion that was started by the Rottens. So if it's good enough for Ian and Axel, it's good enough for me. It's not. IWA Mid-South gets real hardcore.
I mean, it made John Moxley, CM Punk and Eddie Kingston had like a huge feud there. Or rather, not both of them were part of that scene that were and had their huge starting of what eventually became their feud now, which is amazing. But yeah, first of all, John Wayne Murdoch. Can you get more Tennessee than that name?
Can you get more death match?
I mean, the guy, so he started out as Damian Payne. Very that's a very typical indie name for when you're doing a creator wrestler.
Right.
But if you're gonna take I'm gonna be the man's man, I'm gonna be the Duke of hardcore wrestling, you go with John Wayne, but you also go with someone who you kind of physically resemble, with Dick Murdoch, and you go John Wayne Murdoch.
Yeah, and it also works out in both in the the quintessential man's man in John Wayne, but also John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to Killer Clowns.
I mean, don't get us wrong. We don't respect John Wayne Gacy.
No. You do not, under any circumstances, gotta hand it to him.
Yeah, there's no admiration here.
But you can definitely tell where that was an inspiration on Murdoch's name.
Yeah.
That
I mean, all of the best three, serial killers have three names.
Yep.
Or most famous assassins too. And then you guys like. I professionally go by Michael St. Gregory, and I'm hopefully don't have a future somewhere else down the line of something.
Here's hoping.
But don't test me. No, I'm kidding.
And Murdoch going for just bit a hole in the mask of Psycho Clown.
I guess it is. Yeah, it's got to be Psycho Clown because there's no juice coming from John Wayne.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just happened when Murdoch was biting him.
I mean, where else in wrestling can you say, "Hey, I watched a clown beat up John Wayne"? Murdoch,
right?
Like,
yeah. Only right here on the 500.
Only here, folks.
Man,
and not even like if it was simulated, I'm sure somewhere in the indie wrestling world, these two would collide and put on this kind of match.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wow.
Psycho Clown. The face of AAA now. It's wild. He is their number one Technico now.
And you would think, like, with a name like Psycho Clown, they're like, oh, okay, clearly this is a bad guy because people don't like clown. No, you have no idea, guys.
No.
He's
so over.
He is a superhero. He is Roman Reigns level of you can't get enough of this guy in Mexico.
If Monster and Murder Clown briefly turned on him a couple of years ago, to turn Rudo, as they say in Mexico, their team name was I'm not sure if it was self-imposed or if it was given to him by the announcers. Los Totalmente Traidores, which means the total traitors, was their team name for a while. Eventually, Psycho Circus reunited and brought in Dave, and everything's a-okay now. It looks like,
by the way, real quick though, do you know who Psycho Clown is the son of?
Super Porky.
Yeah Remember the juniors division?
I do.
Well, Psycho Clown just got the good roll-up victory.
Just kind of pulled that out of nowhere. The face of AAA. I would love to see him be the one to take the Mega title off of Kenny Omega, which
that would
I'm assuming
be amazing.
Is sooner rather than later. But
listen,
my pick,
if you gave me a Psycho Circus invasion of AEW,
oh my god, Psycho Circus against the Elite, will
be like, this will be nightmare fuel, but it will also be memorable television.
Psycho Circus against the Elite in an 8-man tag.
Give it to me now. Tony.
I want that so much.
Book it, DK.
my pick, though, as much as I would love to see the title on Psycho Clown, just based on what I've seen recently from AAA, it looks to me like they're building up El Hijo del Vikingo to be the one.
But that match just got canceled recently, though.
It did. But that's because Kenny's injured.
Right.
Kenny's going to be taking some time off to heal some injuries.
Much needed time off.
Oh, absolutely.
The guy I do think this past year super injured.
Yeah. But he did what old school champions do. He fought through it.
Kept going. He tried to show the world. And speaking of a guy who is here to show the world, Dolph Ziggler.
So I like Dolph Ziggler a lot. I think Nick Nemeth is a very good wrestler.
Yes.
But no offense again to Dolph Ziggler, he's still under contract. Keith Lee is not.
Yeah.
He's still under contract. Bray Wyatt is not. He's still under contract. Braun Strowman is not. Tony Nese
how
is
much
not.
More serious of those I need to prove like that I'm the best all the time promos, the bleeding heart promos, are we going to have to hear? I mean, obviously, like, yeah, we're behind you, Dolph. We think you should be exactly where you say you should be. but we're not the ones in charge of your contract.
Right.
And if you don't have to be there, like
No.
that's what always bugs me about it, is like, why resign, man?
Yeah.
If you're not happy there, is it I don't know.
Yeah.
There could be a comfort level, but
I'm sure
Tejano
money
Jr.
is a
Let me talk
factor.
about Tejano Jr. because I first saw him in Lucha Underground, and I didn't realize how over he was. You know, he's a former AAA Mega champion, correct?
He is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was the one that kind of like it was his title reign that actually spurred the storyline of the inception of Lucha Underground when the Mega Championship was purchased by Dario Cuerto, and then him coming over to American television. Originally, he was like portrayed as like the bad guy, but the audience was like, no, this is our guy.
Yeah, we love this guy.
We love this guy. And
gonna cheer him.
immediately I was just on board with him because of just he was, you know, I'd never seen a guy like him. Or I'd never seen him before. But immediately he had the vibe of draw and attraction that you want in a wrestler. And so I hope to see more of him in the future.
Well, he is a free agent now.
Yeah,
he is,
that's what I mean. Now
he's no longer in AAA.
There's a guy I would love AEW to sign. Like, you see, like everybody's always focusing on who from the other show. I'm like, there are more than other shows.
Yeah,
Tejano Jr. is absolutely a guy who would thrive in AEW.
Yeah, he's already familiar with with the likes of Andrade and the Lucha Brothers. And, Brian Cage, he's worked with a lot of the guys on that roster already. And meshes well with them. He's got the personality. I admittedly, it's been a while since I've watched the seasons of Lucha Underground that he was on. I don't remember how good his English is.
I feel like if you could probably get like another version of Los
Ingobernables.
Yeah, that Andrade originally had started, but in AEW using Tejano. I would love to see him be brought in just so they can kind of like drop the whole sharing of FTR. Let him have his own trio. I would love to see him be part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, and Tejano, definitely no stranger. I mean, nobody in Mexico is a stranger to trios matches because that's their bread and butter there. Every promotion has such massive rosters that's just what they do. They don't do a lot of singles matches in Mexico.
Right.
It's primarily trios.
It's like how with New Japan is very stable based, which is what AEW is evolving into. And you've got like kind of a hybrid now with, again, eventually I do think next year we will see a formal trios championship.
Stump puller from Ziggler.
This is the thing. Ziggler has a large arsenal of maneuvers, and there was a lot of times where it was the show off moveset. But again, it's for me, it's like if you're I'm not sure if you're just where is my believability in buying into you as a performer? Because granted, love the stuff that he does with Robert Roode. I think the tag team is great. I feel at this point though in Ziggler's career, he should be, just he should be running. He should be one of the main eventing, rotating guys at least that they have it that much. But
and that he's slipping because this is the first time in several years that I can remember that he hasn't gotten a last minute push for Survivor Series. It feels like he's always the guy.
The case.
Yeah.
To be, when these, it makes me wonder. It's like, okay, what is it about people who get cut that seem to have the bigger following that have a hierarchy where is the hierarchy versus not to say I don't want anybody to lose their jobs,
No,
but I
no, of
do
course not.
think that Ziggler is more valuable elsewhere and can be a
Mhm.
valuable asset to other shows
Yeah,
other than WWE.
yeah. Like as much as I'd love to see him in AEW, he could be the face of Impact.
Absolutely.
He would be
Absolutely.
the guy in Impact. He would be great in MLW.
Yeah, he could be the guy. He could be the guy for a lot of different promotions.
Mhm.
It's not ever going to be WWE.
No,
I mean,
no, that
even if
ship
they
has
had
sailed.
kind of done the thing where, like they did with Balor, where they had put him to NXT for a bit,
Mhm.
even then I still couldn't have seen. It's just
No,
there's something about him that they only want here. Like they'll only have him here, and
Mhm.
then they don't want him to go anywhere else. Now I know he has other pursuits like acting, and he does stand up, and but it's like I just feel like he would be such a valued member of a roster and would be treated as such somewhere else, anywhere
Mhm.
else. But Tejano Jr., I first of all has been very impressive in this outing. Uh, again, I really hope to see some
Power of the
big things with
punch.
him. What was that? He was just adjusting his tights. I don't know what you
Yeah,
saw.
yeah. No, it was just a very strong left hand.
Yeah, that's
was-
power of the punch, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be very amazing things.
Roll up from Ziggler. Red Shoes in no hurry to get over there, and
I'm glad
throw me
Red
some hooks.
Shoes, decided, I'm gonna be out of the very the big schedule that New Japan has, and gracing his
Yeah, gracing us with his presence.
gracing his
Powerbomb on the
that was
chair
on
by
the
Tejano.
chair. Ow!
Jeez.
I will say this about Ziggler. He can make. He has made so many other wrestlers look great. And again, another reason why he'd be so good anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because not only can you have him be your top guy, but you will be guaranteed that everyone else will benefit from it.
Yeah.
And
he's a guy you can always count on. You talk about, making other stars, but like I went through and I looked at he had 12 Meltzer rated matches in during the evaluation period. Average of 3.5. Like he is just a solid. Anytime you put him in the ring, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
With the exception, his low match was that we've talked about it a couple times now. That 8-man tag from the Superstar Spectacle, where he teamed with Cesaro, King Corbin, and Shinsuke Nakamura against Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Dilsher Shanky, and the Giant Zangier.
How many of those guys are even still employed? Like you look at last year's Survivor Series and compare it to who's still around.
Yeah.
And also the thing about Ziggler, he's had great runs with the Intercontinental title.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
U.S.
he gets
title,
a lot of
tag
comparisons
team
to like Mr. Perfect and
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels and stuff like that. The guy does have his own flavor to him. I don't know what it was about his world title run that wasn't just that
it just didn't click.
For Vince, because it was
the
a
crowd
great
was
double turn
and the crowd was red hot for his cash in,
and there was it. Oh. That was enough.
All right, kind of came out of Ziggler out of nowhere tonight.
Ziggler proving himself in our main event, why he is worthy of being the guy, and will he be the guy moving on in our tournament? We don't know, but
we don't know.
We know we've got so many more great matches along the way on this long and winding road,
including
500.
Including Ziggler against Jonathan Gresham is now set for the second round. That is going to be a fun one. We also know Jey Uso against Psycho Clown. We also know Kento Miyahara and Eric Young. Tetsuya Endo and Fred Yehi, Tyler Bate and Matt Jackson I mentioned before. So that's round 2 is looking good.
Round 2 is looking fantastic. you can follow us more on what is going on with our next episode. Obviously, it will be after Thanksgiving. Um,
Yes.
we appreciate everybody who has been watching. I look forward to hanging out with anybody who's going to be hanging out on the stream tonight for the Survivor Series watch along. This week we'll have this episode and previous episodes uploaded to the YouTube channel. Again, schedules get in the way of from personal life coming in, but we will make sure that your content is available to you. And of course, if you want to join us with the challenge, you can do so by going to the address below. And also, if you are in a you're a create a wrestler creator, you can get in touch with us and in touch with Pat at pro wrestling simulated at gmail.com or at PW Simulated on all of the social media handles that we have. Help him out, get some more of those avatars going in into the tournament. He'll be able to let you know. And of course, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all the things that you can do on our YouTube, Facebook, and our Twitch channel. I'll be streaming here tonight just at around 8 o'clock. I'll try to get in for the pre-show as well. Any quick predictions for Survivor Series tonight?
Yeah. It's sad to say, but it's WWE, so it's really hard to pick against Raw in any of the matches.
Despite it being the lowest rated show.
Except it being the lowest rated show, but for some reason Vince just has it in his head. I think AJ is going to win the Battle Royal. I feel like it's time to heat him back up now that him and Amos are kind of out of the tag title picture. I think that let's see, looking at the SmackDown side, I think Reigns will beat Big E just because he's Roman Reigns.
I think this is going to be the time where Big E actually is going to be the one to defeat Roman Reigns, because I feel like this is now going to be the setup towards the WrestleMania match he will have, where I feel like if Reigns loses, there's that moment of doubt in the bloodline. Oh, maybe you're not the guy.
Interesting.
And you get maybe perhaps another big Samoan influence to step into the fray and start getting into the ear of the Usos.
You mean perhaps somebody else with the last name Fatu, who
perhaps
recently
at
lost
least part of that extended Anoa'i family.
Yeah.
You can allude to who have Jimmy and Jay been talking to. Has it been Samoa Joe? Has it been their father? Has it been throw in Haku if you want to? Why not?
Or how about Jacob?
But clearly, I feel like eventually this is all going to lead to Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania.
Interesting.
And Big E getting the win will be the start of the story for the bloodline of throwing doubt at the head of the table. And also, I also believe that this is going to be Matt Riddle's night, because he is my pick for Royal Rumble winner. And if not Royal Rumble, then certainly a big headlining match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. So keep an eye on those two matches for sure. And I can't, but I would love, if this is kind of my dream scenario of, Becky Lynch gets the win over Charlotte. But who shows up to upset that victory? None other than a returning Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
Interesting. All right.
Could happen. Maybe
It
not.
could.
I don't know. Then again, could just be run-of-the-mill standard WWE booking, and we'll all be disappointed by the end of it.
I will be totally honest.
So, they may put a little extra oomph into it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they decided last moment that they're going to make a big deal about it being the 25th anniversary of The Rock's debut.
Right.
So
again,
which could lead to I'm seeing the pieces falling into place now for that for that Roman match that I hadn't really considered until you brought up. I will admit to being a much more casual WWE fan these days than I have been in the past.
I have been following the SmackDown stories perhaps more than anything, and also just being fascinated with the amount of characters they come up with on NXT 2.0.
And how quickly they cycle between them.
Just like,
oh, wait,
you're
nope, that didn't work.
this.
You are a mobster.
Don't you mock Tony D'Angelo.
Oh, I wouldn't dare.
I mean, you can mock a poker player who is a wrestler, because why would you take that career?
I mean, why would you be a clown that becomes a wrestler, or a
There's
hockey
difference,
player
man.
who becomes a wrestler?
You can make more money as a poker player than a wrestler,
or a baseball player,
and
or
not have to injure yourself that much.
or a turkey, or
Or
a
or you know,
plumber,
we can't say
or
dentist because Dr. Britt Baker,
Right.
DMD, is legit.
yes, yes, she
Um,
is.
But it has. This has also been legitimately fun. See, I
like it.
I'm on
I like
fire
it.
with these.
Right on there.
And we want to know what you think of what's going to happen at Survivor Series tonight. Tag us at PW Simulated, of course, with the hashtag the 500. Thank you, Pat. I have been Mike. This has been Pro Wrestling Simulated. We will see you next time on the 500. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll